is the research about your business. First of all, the market. Is there money in this market? Which competitors are in this market? Is this a market I can compete in? Right.
I feel like as founders, think that certain things might work. In reality, that's just not the case. So you
True.
really want to know who is doing this, why are they doing it, why are you doing it? Is it what's getting into?
Now, after you figure that out, I think the next thing will be getting your early users. Where are these people? Where are they facing the problem? Which platforms are they on? Right? And these days, you can basically use AI agents to supercharge those tasks because of you can send 5 AI agents to do thousands of tasks that you couldn't do yourself before.
Right, you might have found a gap in the market, but is there a market in the
The
gap?
market to the gap.
Right.
Hi, my name is Afolabi,
Hello, I'm Divine.
and today we're going to be talking about how you can use AI agents to 10x your work.
In your personal opinion, what are AI agents?
So, in very simple terms, AI agents are tools that you can send instructions to help you carry out a specific task.
Okay, so what would you say people are using these AI agents for now?
Yeah, so I mean, in personal life, you can use it as a personal assistant, you can use it as a research assistant. So, there are many things you can use it for. For your business, you can actually use it as a developer agent. You can have a marketing agent, you can have a content agent that carries out specific roles in your business.
Okay.
Okay, so first of all, what can we really use this AI agents for on a business level?
Well, AI agents specifically are tools, they are functions, they are basically personal assistants. And because they are assistants, they can do a lot of things for you. And one of those things that we see people do now, especially like with this new age whereby teams are getting a lot leaner and there are many one person founders, there are many smaller teams utilizing agents. One of the things that it can help you do, or some of the things it can help you do, are business level tasks, marketing level tasks, and technical level tasks. So let me throw this question to you, right? On a business level, what would you use AI for? Being that you are already a founder, and what would you use AI agents for in your business now?
So right now, I would say that there are mainly 3 things I would advise people to use AI agents for that they are good for business level. The first of all is validating your business, right? You can basically tell AI agents to go online, to go on X, to go on Reddit, and find out where people are talking about the problem you're trying to solve for, right? Before you had to do this manually, right? Today, I just tell my Manus agent or I tell my Perplexity agent, and now they can basically go online, collate all the things that people have said about my business, and come back to me with a structured report on the sides I should go to or the sides that are not even a problem, right? The second part I would go into is the research about your business. Like, first of all, the market. Is there money in this market? Is there which competitors are in this market? Is this a market I can compete in? Right. Now, after you figure that out, I think the next thing will be getting your early users. Where are these people? Where are they facing the problem? Which platforms are they on? Right. And these days, you can basically use AI agents to supercharge those tasks because of you can send 5 AI agents to do, thousands of tasks that you couldn't do yourself before.
Yeah, so like some of these AI tools, just like Perplexity, you could use tools like Manos, you could use tools like Claude,
Yeah.
ChatGPT itself. They can help, really take a good look into like, your business idea, what you think would work. Because many times I feel like as founders, we think that certain things might work. In reality, that's just not the case. So you
True.
really want to know who is doing this, why are they doing it, why are you doing it? Is it what's getting into?
Yes.
Right, you might have found a gap in the market, but is there a market in
Is
the
there a
gap?
market to the gap?
Right, so you really want to find out these things first before jumping into such a business. And of course, revenue, what is that going to look like?
Yeah.
You want to really see, you might have most of these answers in your head, but when you do research with these AI tools, it's really good. So here's one prompt I use personally, right? I always tell Claude, act like a McKinsey senior
That
executive.
always works.
Yes, yes. So I always tell you to act like that. So
Yeah.
and then use it to like analyze any of my business ideas, right? So that way it gives me a very detailed
Detailed.
analysis of what my idea would look like as a
Yes.
business. And I've gotten some positive responses whereby it tells me, oh yeah, some ideas are really good.
Yeah.
Or sometimes it tells me, oh, I need to work on certain things, or this may look good, but in reality, this
It's
idea
not
does
good.
not, it's not a good business, right?
Yes. And I think that's even the good thing about using AI agents for your business because of those gaps that you don't see yourself. You
Yeah.
can basically use AI agents to cut those gaps out of
Right.
your business
Mm-hmm.
and basically make everything work.
Exactly.
Technical level, now that I've validated my business idea, now that I know who I want to solve for, how can I build an initial, beta or minimum viable product that I can get to my early users?
Yeah, very, very good question, right? One of the best things I advise people to use is tools like Lovable. If you're not a developer, yeah, you could go for Lovable, Bolt, and the likes. But if you're a developer, you might want to do some things like, go for Cloud Code, go for Codex. And the whole idea is this: with those platforms, you do not have to spend anything on infrastructure. You don't have to spend
Yeah,
anything thinking about, oh, what are like, as an engineer, you might want to think about certain things like, oh, would this scale? But
yeah,
remember, if you're trying to create a startup, right, a good working business, the last thing you should be thinking of when you have zero users is, would it scale? Of
exactly.
course, you always want to have scale in mind. You always want to have security in mind. Those things are very important. But at the same time, you also want to get your product out there as soon as possible. So
Yeah,
at least 10 people. Just create a software that simply works for 10 people, at least, right? So my go-to would be to either use Cloud Code or Lovable, any of those two, right? So of course there are better tools out there that you can always look into, but these platforms will give you your product within, like, depends on the prompt anyways.
yeah,
It will always give you your product within, like, in a very short amount of time. So one thing I would always, like, say, this is what I do for myself as well. I tell it, oh, make no mistakes. Right. So it's always going to give me that one thing I'm looking for. And of course, I ensure that at the end of the day, it has all the requirements I need for it.
yeah,
So certain things that you can also do to improve how that product comes out is, instead of just dumping your ideas straight into Lovable or Cloud Code or Codex, first of all, go to a normal chatbot like the Chat GPT or any of them, or
yeah.
Gemini. Tell it your idea and tell it to create a prompt for you,
For
a
you.
detailed prompt with specific requirements, right? So it should come up with a functional requirements and
Yes. It
probably
should
not,
also ask you the questions to get the best
and it
requirements.
should give you a detailed prompt. Now, this prompt is not going to be just three paragraphs. It could be like,
Yeah, a
up to it
document.
could be a document, right? So you take this entire prompt that it gives you and then put it into Lovable or Cloud Code, and you can get like a good working minimum viable product in a very short amount of time, without hiring so many developers, and with probably just subscription as low as 25 or $30 or
Yeah.
$20, right? So it's one of those things. It's worth looking into when you are developing your MVP. It's worth looking into AI agents to create your MVP with AI agents, right?
Okay. And I think on a more visual level, if you want to make it look closer to a lot of visual references, add images.
Right.
Because of AI is very good at reproducing patterns. You can use ChatGPT. ChatGPT just launched a new image V2 model that actually helps you generate good graphic images, brand images, products, logos, right? You can use these things to generate assets that you can also pass to Lovable to help you build your website,
Okay.
right? So that's one thing I would mention. Another thing I would mention is, depending on what you're trying to build, I mean, you can use Lovable for things like websites, things like landing pages, things like maybe a simple e-commerce site, but more simpler sites. When you want to go to a more higher level with AI, what would you advise people do, right? Because of there are some businesses that are, simpler to do, and there are some that are more technical. So what would you advise founders to do in that level?
So depending on your skill sets, that is what you use to choose the tool you will use. Like I mentioned, if you're a technical developer, you might want to go into like Cloud Code, you might want to go into anti-gravity, you might want to use Cursor. But if you're not a technical developer, you're better off using this no code. I call
Yeah,
them no code AI builders, right? Like
yeah,
Lovable, Boats. If you're building an app, I think there's Rock,
yeah.
right?
There's also
So
anything.
anything there is base 44, you might want to look into those. So it all depends on your skill set, right? So I would always advise founders at the very early stage, think less technical and think more on business side, because everything you're trying to do will revolve around the business and less about your code
Yeah,
at the very
at the
beginning,
very beginning.
right? So of course you still need security in mind, very important. You cannot play with security. You also need scalability at some point. But at least what you should think about is, how will this product help 10 people right now?
Yes, right.
Always think about it from that perspective of 10 people, right? Would this work for 10 people? Until you have that solved, before you can go on to the next phase.
Yeah.
And yes, you cannot one shot your entire app to work for a million
Mistake
people,
that a lot of people make.
right? So
Make no mistakes.
exactly, you always have to iterate. Very important. So what I will ask right now is, if you're building any app, please let us know in the comment section what you're building and what tools you
Yeah.
use to build this app. So now you have your app built, right? So this is the biggest question on every founder's mind. How do you use AI agents to get users? How do you use AI agents to scale your app in the market?
Yeah. So the first tip I always advise people to do when they want to validate a business or try to get their early product to users is to do founder-led content. And founder-led content is basically just you talking about what your solution is solving, what you've seen people in that space use your solution to do, what your solution has done for others, and then you create posts about those things, create posts about this content, right? And then you can now reproduce this across posts across platforms like X, LinkedIn. You can even do it on Instagram and TikTok if you are good at making, UGC videos. And this now helps bring trust, right? It helps bring trust and early users to your product. Another thing I would advise people to use AI agents for is actually to create those posts for them, like help them optimize those posts for the type of customer that they are building it for, right? And then the next thing is sales. Now that you already know the early customers that you are doing this thing for, you want to get to more people, but you don't know those people. So what I usually advise people to do is like sales, right? So I can tell my AI agent. So for example, tools like Perplexity, Manus, even Claude Cowork, you can basically tell it to go on maybe Reddit or X or online and find out where people are talking about the problem you are solving for, and then get those posts and then collect all the handles so that you can reach out to those people personally,
Okay.
right? And these are the things that I would advise people in the early stage when you build your product to use AI agents for.
Right. So
So
yes.
when you now want to scale this process to more users, right, around the world, what would you advise founders to do?
So after getting your very first initial customers, your first 20 customers that
Yeah.
you got through your network, you probably want to get, more users who are not within your network, right? And the best way to go about this is to use AI agent to create content for you. And this is a trend that we are already seeing, right? So
Yeah.
before now, a lot of people will have to do this process manually. So I'm going to talk about two things here: using AI agents for SEO and using it for content creation, right? So for SEO, before now, you'd have to get technical writers to write everything, and probably not just technical writers, an entire team, right? But now you could basically use Claude or ChatGPT, and it
Mm-hmm.
will come up with a very good blog post or a very
Yeah.
good article for your product, right? And it also comes with certain things like backlinks and all of that, right? So of course you also want to take note of the fact that it might not give you a 10 out of 10 result, but now this is also where your research that you've done at the very beginning comes
Yes.
in. So you can always tell it to improve on certain things, right? So it could give you these blog posts, these articles, and you can always post them. And you also ask it, tell it things to improve the entire SEO. So here's what I do, right? I always tell it, oh, you're an expert SEO. You're an
McKenzie
expert.
experts.
You're an expert in SEO and technical writing.
Yeah.
Write a detailed blog post for me that is SEO optimized for my website.
Yeah.
It's as simple as that, and it's going to give you something really good, right? So that's going to save you a whole lot, because now teams are going a lot smaller, a lot leaner, and all of that. So that's how you can use AI agents for SEO. Another way you can use AI agents is also for content creation,
Okay.
right? So there was an app in the US that a founder created whereby you could scan particular food, and it's going to tell you how many calories are on that food, which is very good. That app spent over $700,000 hiring UGC influencers to create content for that app, which is very good. Most founders do not have $700,000
That's
flying
true.
around, but you have access to AI agents. Are there AI agents that can create these videos for you? Yes, they are very good ones now. So there's Seed Dance Model, and then there are platforms like Agent. Most of these platforms are, specific for e-commerce brands and all of that, but there are also platforms that can help you handle your SaaS. If you have like a SaaS idea or just a normal
Yeah.
software like I love UGC AI, they literally help you automate the entire UGC content. So you can easily create content right now by simply just talking about your app or putting your link to your website or just talking about your idea, and it's going to
Yeah.
create a good UGC video for your products, right? So that's something that before now you would have to spend a lot of time to do that. But right now you can use AI agents or to make this entire process and get your app or website to millions of people on social media. One thing I need to add before you do this step, it is important you get your first 10 to 20 users
Very
organically.
important.
Get them organically because they give you real feedback that you can use to improve your business idea. Because the
Yeah.
last thing you want to do is scale an unproven business idea, right? So, best way to look at it is AI agents will only help you to scale what you already have down, right? So, this is why it's important to do your very first two steps correctly, your business step, your
Yeah.
technical step, before you even think of using AI agents to automate your marketing. Now you have these things working for you, right? So, this is one of the biggest problems that I get from people. It's like, oh, AI creates a lot of slop and has a lot of pitfalls. How do you overcome this?
So, first of all, I will advise people to look at it without AI. How does this process work? For example, you want to sell, how would you sell to a customer that maybe is in the US market without AI? Right. First of all, you need to understand, oh, maybe you need to reach them via SEO, right? Or you need to hire a salesperson to reach out to them, right? And then the best way to cut the slop is you need to give the AI enough context of how this process is meant to work out. For example, first step, find the user and find out the problems they're talking about. Second step, save these users to a database. This is how a human would do it. And AI basically uses the same computers we do. So you need to give it enough of the context and workflow that you would usually give a human so that it can get the task done in the most efficient way possible. So now, after you've gotten all this context, how can you make these AI agents work in the best way?
So what I do myself is that I try as much as possible to do something called prompt optimization, right? So this is why I tell the AI agent specifically what I need and what I don't need. And this is how I go about it. When I have an idea of something, right? Even if I'm trying to like think of a business idea, whether I'm trying to build an app or even if
Yeah,
it's a content creation process, right? I'll tell my idea to any chat agent. It can be Gemini, it can be or any of them,
or
right?
Claude.
And I tell them, after I tell them what I want, I tell it to create a good prompt explaining what I just gave it. So it's
Yeah,
going to give me a very detailed prompt. And with that prompt, I can put it into the AI agent of my choice, right? Whether it's a web builder agent or a content creation agent, right? Any of them. And it's going to tell me exactly, it's going to create exactly what I needed to create, right? So that's one of the best and easiest ways we overcome slop. Another way is referencing, right?
yeah,
So if you're trying to do something, don't just tell it like, oh, make no mistakes, build this app. You want
yeah.
it to create something like something
Like
else,
yeah,
right? So maybe give it an image or a description, right? So it's very important to reference your
your
ideas,
ideas.
right? So that's one of the easiest ways to overcome slop.
So now, based on all we've talked about, you need the right context of the workflows and you need the right description of the prompts to be able to 10x your work with
All
AI
right.
agents.
Okay. Yeah. So if you're building anything right now, if you're working on any startup, any idea, feel free to drop everything down in the comment section. We're happy to, explore everything you're working on as well. And thank you very much for watching.
See you in the next video.